Hi, good afternoon. As you know, you're watching 30 Frames a Second, and I am Nat Wood. Today I have my brother, my soldier, the master historian himself, Sekou Fortune. When we used to do Big Talk, he was Batman to my Robin. And now I have a whole pair of pants, you know, and I'm fighting crime on my own. But the inimitable Batman is here today, and we're going to talk about some stuff that you don't talk about usually in the news. You hear about the knockout game and things like that, but there are some things happening that we're going to talk about. Also, I just want to give you a heads up. I am mindful of what you asked me to do, and it has been requested that we recommend some books that are good to read, and we do some historical things. We don't just like come here every week and just like talk about white folks, although that can be a lot of fun because white folks are funny. But that we actually do some things that enhance our community, that enable them to learn things so that they can progress. And I can think of nobody, since Dr. John Henry Clark could not be here. We are going to have Sekou Fortune, the one, the only Sekou Fortune, doing some educational things on 30 Frames a Second. So we look forward to that in the coming future. We had a banner year in 2013. I expect an even better year in 2014. We're going to have the women's takeover like we had. That was a very grand hit. I wanted to fire them all because they looked much better than me and had a much better show than I have. But we're going to do some things that will enlighten you, and hopefully you'll enjoy. I certainly enjoy having an opportunity to bring them to you. So with that, if they have my opening ready, we're going to open this show, and when we come back, it'll be Nat Wood and Sekou Fortune, just like old times, but this time on 30 Frames a Second. Peace. Where the victim is now the perpetrator and the perpetrator is now the victim. And that just drives me crazy. All right, and we are back. My brother, Sekou, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well.
Excellent.
I'm doing actually well, so, you know, I'm glad to be alive.
And I'm glad you're alive, too, because it gives me an opportunity to have you on the show. And it gives the show an opportunity to highlight some people who really know African history, our history, and hopefully we can do an adequate job of helping you out, bringing up the images and whatnot to make it really look professional. But be that as it may, that's another day and another time, and today
it's a new day.
Right,
it's a new,
right,
to deal with stuff that's happening now. Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy things happening in the news. Obviously, they're talking about a lot of political things as it deals with the president, and we hear about that over and over again. We hear about Iran, the negotiations between Iran easing the sanctions, about the Affordable Health Care Plan, and a couple of other things that
that's a lot on your plate right there.
Yeah,
right there,
yeah. Give us some insight, your thoughts on the Affordable Health Care Plan. We're gonna get into, you know, the immigration law. That's a biggie. Pick any one of those three, or come up with something on your own and give us some insight as to how you see this thing going.
Well, you know, I'm not quite sure, but I think the United States is either the so-called progressive countries or the so-called industrialized countries and so on and so forth, modern-day cultures and stuff like that. United States healthcare is not anywhere near the top. You know, it's one of the worst ones in the thing. And matter of fact, some what they call not developed countries
Developing countries.
have better
what they used to
education,
refer
right?
to as third world, but they call them developing countries.
Whenever you let people who are doctors, people who are insurance, deal with the making of the Obama thing, because they met. All of them are looking for the interest, including the pharmaceuticals.
Right.
They're looking for their part, and they don't want to lose any money. And say like, go to Canada, you can get the same drugs cheaper, or you can get the non-description of the big names even cheaper than that. So, and also the country itself buys the medications in a whole, so they get a, you know, it's lower cost. When you look at America, and you look at the people at the head of these insurance companies, look at how much money they're making. Right? So it's about making money. It's not about health. It's about making money. And the same thing about pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals do not work to cure you of anything. They work to keep you on it for the rest of your life. And as things go on with your body, because of taking these poisons, you have to take another one and another one, another one. So you end up taking a whole bunch of medicines, starting off with one thing, counteracting each other. Now, when you got that kind of system that is predicated upon profit, you're not going to have a good system, right? So you should just have the single player, and that just get rid of everything, and allow the country to buy from the pharmaceuticals, if that's what you want to do, in bulk.
Now I've heard the affordable health care plan discussed on every station that you could think of, and every news organization, certainly on all the programs that deal in punditry. But you're the first person I've actually heard mention the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies and their interest in this whole game. And that's a point far too important to overlook. When you think about the crash of 2008, and it is customary to just holler the banks, the banks, the banksters, the banksters, the banksters. And certainly the banks and the investment agencies contributed largely to the total meltdown of the global economy. Certainly they played games that they knew were Russian roulette with the well-being of the financial well-being of every nation on planet Earth. But that's not what bankrupted the world. What bankrupted the world is that one insurance company, AIG, insured every single solitary investment from every single solitary financial institution globally. And when the real estate market crashed, and it crashed basically because of a 5% default rate, AIG had no money. They literally took everybody's money, said, I got you, if this go bad, I got you, spent all the money, and as soon as they had a 5% default rate, AIG said, I ain't got no money, and the whole thing collapsed. And as you said about the insurance companies, if you get an operation in the United States, you better believe that 90 cents on every dollar you spend is just insurance costs. And the pharmaceuticals are the same way. The moment that the president got in bed with the insurance companies, he almost guaranteed.
He gave it away.
Right. He gave the chickens to the wolf. Told the wolf to guard the chickens. You know. So and I don't think anybody has said it as succinctly as you said it. But that is the truth.
There are four things that run a capitalist system. One is banking. One is insurance, and the other one is property, right?
Right.
Ownership,
right,
yeah,
right,
right?
right.
And the second one is military.
Right.
I mean,
right.
the fourth one is military,
right,
Four
right,
things, right?
right.
All of these things are tied together. All of these things are used to keep the people who are behind these things in power. They use, and then what comes out of that is appraisal. So when you got land, you give it appraisal. And then when you build something on land, you have to have insurance. Then you have to get a loan. Well, actually get a loan first, but get a loan.
Right.
And all that other stuff comes right in behind it, right?
Right.
And all of them are in cahoots. All of them are running. And if you look at what, the appraisal that you see now in New York City is phony.
I know.
It's just phony.
I know.
They do that because one of the ways that the city is able to get money is through taxing property.
Right.
So if it's appraised higher,
Right.
they get to get more money.
Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
and so when you start look at the system, how the system actually works, it works off sucking the blood out of ordinary people because rich people get buys.
Right.
Now, some people say that these things are, that's not. It's meant to be. It's so when people set up and argue that these things, no, they put that in there so that they could do that.
Right.
But now they got like trillions of dollars in foreign countries, outside of this country, that's been handled by the rich and so on and so forth. That's not being taxed at all. Not being taxed at all. And so the rich people are now. All right. They like to call us a democracy. Right? You cannot have a democracy when you're making a corporation a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to have that.
Yeah.
Right? Because they have, where you have me and you, we got money.
Right.
But then they got like this money, right? So one person or one thing could do like this.
Right.
When you have to have hundreds of people out here doing the same thing. And so it's rigged. So you're not going to have a democracy when corporations are persons.
And they're multinational persons. They're persons who have no vested interest in the United States of America. You're not even talking about American corporations, and basically there's no such thing as an American corporation. A corporation is a third-party thing that basically serves no country. There are some countries that we think of as totalitarian who have sovereign laws in place where you have to deal more stringently with that country. But corporations are global entities. They don't serve America. When the stock market rings at 9:30 in the morning, they don't stand up and sing America the Beautiful. It's money all over the planet all the time, and most of the major investors in corporations that we think of as American corporations, like Citigroup and stuff like that, their primary investors are Arabs and Frenchmen and Chinese. They're multinational corporations. Right. They're multinational corporations. So I don't. The concept that corporations are people and therefore should have a say in American policy. Well, even if you could argue that they are people, which is a stretch,
A stretch?
Yeah.
That's an artificial thing.
Right.
Corporated by people.
Right.
It's not a person.
Right.
And by the way, the founding, I don't want to say fathers, but the founding Europeans that did the country never had that in mind.
No.
For it to be a plan. They gave them a charter, and the charter only lasts for most of the charters last 5 years.
Right.
And they had to do that specific thing only.
Right.
They could not go out and do anything like that. And they could not mess around in politics, right? It's not until the I think it's 1895 or something like that, somewhere around there, is when the first time that they came in on the 14th Amendment. Or something like that. I wish I knew it was going to be this, right? The 14th Amendment that made them into a person.
Yeah,
and that's how they became. That's the first thing that they made them into a person. And then from that point on, the Supreme Court has been granting them more and more and more,
More
leeway,
and more, right, more and more power, right,
And now
right.
they're on the verge of making them universal, meaning around the world, no other country can interfere with their business and stuff like that they're doing. And whatever they come up with, you got to pay for it.
It is universal.
Yeah, right,
It
yeah,
is
right, yeah.
universal
So,
because it's multinational corporations. It's not. It has no. It has no resemblance to anything historical. When the wall came down, it was step one. When Clinton got in there and revamped the entire banking system and got rid of all the laws and regulations, it was step two. And now it's just out of control. It's just like this layer of the Illuminati and everyone else. There is no American economy. There is just the global economy. There is just global trading. There is just the masters of the universe and those who serve them.
Who control land, like I said before, finance, banking, insurance, and has a powerful army? Those people are going to rule the world. And whenever they go into a country, they are going in to bring democracy and to help. Actually, they're going there to rob the natural resources and set up some puppets. And so when the United States always going around talking about, well, you know, just corrupt people, blah, 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 blah. Imperialism always create corrupted people. That's it. You can't do it without them, without them being corrupt. So when people say, "Oh, you know, these people are corrupt and stuff like that," well, what did you expect when these colonial empires went over and colonized these people? What did you think that they was making over there? People just going to fight them, or people going to go along with the game? Right. And one thing you got Europeans have been very, very good at, and that is taking people out of their culture and putting them in their culture. In other words, when you go around the world and you ask what kind of government that is being used, well, you look at the colonizer and you see what kind of government they're being used, right? Or they're using some form of communism or socialism also, but it comes out of Europe, right? They don't use their system anymore. When it comes down to religion, the religion is coming from outside. So they've been, and also like when you go to book, you know, like you can go to China and you say Pythagorean theorem. Everybody know what that is. You know what I'm saying? So Europeans are very good at putting this stuff out there like that.
That's amazing too. That's amazing that literally every culture uses a European standard of beauty as their benchmark. That literally that every country in some way, every people of every country in some way bows to the monarchical system of Europe and to white supremacy. And that's not just Africans, that includes Asians. You know, it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
You can take a Chinese woman at a Miss America, Miss Universe thing, and you know, her eyes is not as slanted as the other ones, and the features is not that. So you got that all over the world, that kind of thing. And also you got the thing for the same thing for the white male. The one who is the hero, the warrior, always straightening things out, stuff like that. Valiant, you know, all this kind of stuff that you got to handsome, will die for a friend, and so on and so forth, this, that, and the other. And so you get all these things. And whenever you see black folks, they are really just people there that's being used. But in the system, in the movie that they are part of, the people who control that is a European, and the black guy is how well he's able to carry out what he's supposed to do. That kind of thing.
Even as you said, among Europeans, that the perception is that the golden hair is more virtuous than the raven hair. That the raven-haired woman is more apt to be a little less stunning, and even if she is beautiful, she's a little more malevolent than the virtuous blonde hair. And they buy into that system themselves. You know, it's amazing how effective that system is. It's not just skin color; it's features, it's hair color, it's everything. It's really an amazing feat of programming.
You know, if you ever look, let's take Avatar for a second. I'm just going to take a few things out of that, right? You know, that was blue people. Okay, all right.
Right.
Dark blue people.
Right, right. Color people.
Yeah. Here's a guy
with tails
who is a cripple in his world. In the blue people world,
right,
he can run, do anything he want to do. All right. He gets the big bird. He gets the woman. Two men had to die in order for them to do that, and then they had to come to him and say, "You got to help us." Right. Now, although he's blue, you know he's what?
White.
White. Right? So they got you on two ends, right? But you don't realize that you've been had, right? Now, you don't realize that all the black men that was with the king, he got rid of. His wife comes and begs him to help him, the European that's in the blue uniform, right? Now, look at that. But see, people don't look at it that way. That's some other things that goes on in there too. But it also tells you
colored people with dreadlocks, and they have tails, which makes them monkeys, not apes.
That's like I said, it's a lot of stuff in there that people don't see in there that's going on. And I'm saying that to say this, is that the black folks who was doing what they was doing, but they were still aiding, even in blue uniform, they were still helping the white person in the blue uniform. He was the one who said what it is you do and what to go out and do. He's the one that does that. They couldn't think of that by themselves. And another thing too, they have this thing about modern day civilization and what they call quote unquote primitive civilization. The blue people was primitive. These people were in fact modern day, and they had all the machinery, the guns, and everything that they had. The other ones had bow and arrows. See what I'm saying? In other words, all the time that these people have been on the planet, all they got is bomb. But they are peaceful.
And spirituality.
And
spirituality. They could actually communicate with nature. They had a connection of physical and spiritual connection with nature, and that connection with nature made them primitive in and of itself. Well, see, it's just a tree. They got lots of trees. Just blow up the tree.
All right, let me tell you what you think about this, right? These people there. But here comes a European. All of that natural stuff that you're talking about did not help them. It was the European who got aligned with that tree. Remember when he went over to the tree? He went over to the tree.
That's right.
And the woman comes up to him and says to him,
and he was given the power to ride the great dragon.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So she says to him, it doesn't do that, what you asking for. It's just only for equilibrium, keeping the balance, right?
Correct.
But guess what happened? Because of him, it tied in, and nature itself fought back, right? So all the animals and everything else fought back and was able to win. So it wasn't that so. So it's as harmonious as they could be. They couldn't do nothing with him. And it had to be the other guy that comes in. He was the chosen. And how many times they tell you that?
He was Jesus.
How many times they tell you that in the movie? A number of times they're talking about he's the chosen one.
And they parted the sea. When he got off the dragon and came in, they partied like, man,
that's right. Now, none of them could ride the...
Correct. I think it was only like 4 or 5 times in history that anybody has ever ridden this thing.
So all of these kinds of things puts in your mind all the things against you. And the things you don't want to be quote unquote called primitive and stuff like that. You want to be like the other one.
The natural order that puts everything in the appraisal method. that everything has a price. You just have to establish what it is. That you can put a price on a rock. You just got to figure out what the price is. You could sell anything, but before you sell anything, there's a system of value. That every person has a system of value. That's what race is about. Race is something manufactured by Europeans, specifically this cat Carl von Linnaeus, and it's been redefined. But it was a pecking order to a system of value. And it is indeed the structure of white supremacy, that the pecking order goes European, Homo Europaeus, Homo Asiaticus, Homo Americanus, which is indigenous peoples, and Homo Afro. There is a pecking order. Like you said, if you want to know how much your home is worth, someone has to come in and tell you what it's worth. And whatever they tell you it's worth is what it's worth. You could sit there and think it's worth anything, but until you have it appraised, until some official person tells you what it's worth nothing.
And if the appraisal does not give it a high appraisal,
correct,
they will not go to that appraisal anymore.
Correct.
So the appraisers know that they have to do that in order for the city and the state and all the rest of them to make money, no matter where you are. That's how they do it. They make money off of what? Property, ownership of property. Who owns the property? The state. Who owns the property? The country. And so on, or whatever province you in, they own the thing. Now, you think you own that house? Don't pay them taxes. See what they take your house from you. Right. Take your
or
house.
just let them one house.
So,
you can pay all the taxes you want. I mean, if they want your property for some reason.
Eminent domain.
Right.
Yes. So all of these things. Now, where is eminent domain mostly worked at? On black folks.
Right.
And every time that they do that, it's going to be what? Better for us. Is it better for us? No, it's not. No, it's not. So every time that we get these kind of things and they say these kind of things, they're going to make everything better, they never make it better for us. As a matter of fact, we find out we're in a worse position than what we was before.
Correct.
Matter of fact, we lost housing.
Correct.
Now we're in apartments rather than having no house. So the whole system is based upon money. As a matter of fact, it's made up on quarters. Every quarter, did you make any money? Did you make any money?
Right.
How much money did you make? Oh, he's doing good. He's looking what he made in this quarter. And each quarter. Now, if you put a person in there to be president of the corporation, and he does not do that, or she does not do that, make money each quarter, how long do you think they're going to stay in the job?
Right.
Because them stockholders are looking for what? Money. See, it's all about money.
Correct. Stock value is money.
That's right.
And there's a lot of ways to increase stock value that has absolutely nothing to do with profit. We are novices in this game, and we are under the misassumption that in order to make money, you have to sell more stuff. But the market is based upon manipulation of numbers. And there are ways to manipulate numbers to increase stock value without ever increasing the profitability of the item that you're selling. JCPenney just got dropped from the S&P 500, and JCPenney, their profitability has risen 8% since the beginning of the year. However, the way that they calculate numbers has led to the decline of JCPenney stocks. And they were just dropped from the index because of it. There's a lot of ways. One of the most effective ways to increase the profitability of your stock is to fire people. So you're basically, no matter what you do, you are in effect working yourself out of a job. Because that is what productivity is about. It's about getting more from less and less personnel. And with the globalization of corporations, you know. I mean, the absolute globalization of corporations. America does not have a leg to stand on, and that is the part that's driving Americans crazy, because, you know, Pharaoh done cut you loose too. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, there are several things, right? One, for capitalists, there are two major costs. They cost. One is work of humans, right? Labor. Right. So labor is a big thing, right?
Right.
And with come labor, depending upon what you're getting, is insurance for
Correct.
health.
Correct.
Right?
Healthcare.
So all of that goes into that. All right. Now, the other part to that is that the buildings that you
Right. The real estate.
because they have to meet certain standards.
Correct.
Right? And so therefore you can get fined for certain standards and so on and so forth. Now, and the upkeep of the machinery and all that other stuff, that also costs money. Right. Now, what if you can put that on somebody else?
Right.
In another foreign country.
Right.
And
Foreign country
let's say they're
where
going
there's no
to make items for $2 over there.
Right.
For over here, let's just say just, you know, $10.
Right.
Well, they just won $8 just on that, just on one thing.
Right.
Now, they don't have to pay for the building.
Right.
And that's why you see in all these countries, in India and Bangladesh and all these countries, falling down.
Right.
They don't have no standards from over there.
Right.
All they come in is getting many people as they can get in there and do the work that they come in. They're stacked up on it. You got different corporations in each on different floors and stuff like that, where people are doing this stuff. And that's what the thing is about. And so when you sit there and look at this stuff, and you see that jobs are being diminished, and the kind of jobs that are now growing, it's the kind of McDonald's kind of things, where it is that you don't have a living wage. That you can sit up there and afford yourself to pay for an apartment, right? Or health care, or any, yeah, service thing, right? So when they're talking about, you know,
you can't send
so
your
many
poodle
jobs,
to Bangladesh for a haircut, you know. You can't, like, go to Bangladesh to get a hamburger, you know, or a sandwich or whatnot. There's certain things where you need, you know, a slave clientele right here on site to cater to people with money and whatnot.
Now they're asking the people in America to compete with that. They'll come back. Right? Which means you got to give up what? You have to give up your rights. And one of the things that they hate the most is what? Unions. They hate the most of unions.
Unions are almost obsolete.
Because it's organized.
Right.
And they can sit up there and deal with you. Right? And they can strike you, which can hurt you. Well, they want to stop you from striking. Right? And they want to stop you from organizing. And that's why they call them states, free work
That's what they call it.
See, you gotta watch their language and what it is they're saying. That's not a free right to work at all. It's to be raped.
A handout.
It's to be going down there to be raped. Because if you open your mouth, you're fighting the company by your lonesome. So get him out of here. Get her out of here.
Now, unions have gone from a standard to an anomaly, and it's
shrinking.
Becoming it's becoming a memory. You know, the union participation is down to nothing. You know, but
the largest unions are the city and the state.
And they want to privatize all city and state workers.
And they're trying to get rid of them. That's
they want
exactly
to privatize the prison system. They want to privatize the education system. They want to privatize the police. The police are already a militia. Can you think of what it is when there are no standards? And I mean, you're talking like RoboCop stuff now. You are literally talking about no rules, no regulations. People who are making very little money. Who are basically the black waters of America.
You ever see how the police act to people who are demonstrating?
Oh man!
See what I'm saying?
Oh man!
Right now, I'm saying Now who's doing that? All right, the 99%.
Right.
Right. Who was the city operating with? It was Redwood Wall Street.
Right.
And when they got tired of that stuff, they did the what? And they used the police to do that.
Right.
In armor.
Right.
Huh?
Right. Right.
So we're watching right before our eyes the militarization of police. Right in front of us. And you see the kind of stuff they're wearing with the stuff that's coming up in here and all that kind of stuff and all this kind of stuff. And we're talking about people, the 99% was not like that at all.
Right.
Did not deserve all that kind of stuff.
Military weaponry and military surveillance tactics.
Right.
You are talking about a police state the likes of which no one even conceived of 20 years ago. It was impossible to even conceive of the stuff that they have the capacity to do.
Yeah, calling the National Guards.
Right.
Now you just call the police. They got all that stuff now.
They have
tanks, all kind of stuff.
They have every single record, every single phone record, every single email record. They have so much stuff on so many people all across the globe that they cannot keep track of it all. It's becoming like white noise, so to speak. It's just everybody all the time.
You know the reason for that, right? The reason for that is that the capitalist system knows that it don't have a future.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But it's like, what's his name? I said, well, anyway, just say this thing. Not on my watch. In other words, each one that comes to the thing is not going to be on my watch. Yeah, I'm going to kick this thing down the way. So now, how do I keep this thing? I gotta know what people are thinking of. I gotta know what they're doing on the thing. So they gotta look at you, and then they say, "You got you? Well, who called you?" Now that person get called. Now who called them?
Right.
So they get a whole network of what's named. And what they talking about?
Right.
What are they saying? Right? And so they can crush it.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Right.
Because if you was confident of the the capitalist system being a system that can do for all, then you would need that.
Conceptually, that's what the capitalist system was supposed to do. It was supposed to be. It was never supposed to be that, but this is what they sold it as. A free market system that ultimately worked to serve. Okay, we got a call. We're going to take the call. Okay. Let's take the. You can put the call through whenever you want to. But it was supposed to be a free market system that served for the benefit of everyone. Caller, turn it up a little bit. I hear something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, turn it up just a little bit so we can hear the call.
Speak a little louder, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The first comment is about what you just were talking about. It was basically about images, the television, black men and the white, etc. That's images, and unfortunately, black people have not caught on to the fact that images are important. That's what gets people to think certain things about us. And as far as the capitalists, this country started off in the wrong foot. It started off stealing the country, then manipulated that way, along with stealing of it, then stealing another group of people and manipulating them to bring them here to work for free. Now, in my own idea or concept is that in the future, as they say, you can't fool all of the people all of the time. So at some point, this is going to blow up in America's face. All the dirt that they've done around the world and all the dirt that they're doing here to working class people, along with racism and sexism, they're going to have a serious problem. And those in power will have nowhere to run. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
I would just add this to that. People who are organized, as rotten as they can be, if you are not organized, they'll just come back into the same position they was in before. So you have to organize behind that, you know, and what they're trying to do is make it hard for people to organize because they're doing all this surveillance that they're doing. They're doing surveillance on streets, they're doing with cameras, they're doing surveillance on the phones, computers, everything that you got that's electronic and so on and so forth. So people got to realize that what it is that they're dealing with and who's doing it and why they're doing it. And then that way you can understand that and then know how to deal with it. Because otherwise, you don't
I also
do.
don't think that multinational corporations and people who run multinational corporations give a rat's ass what happens to America or Americans or anyone else. This thing that I'm holding, this computer tablet, it takes a lot of stuff so that that everybody in America can have one and think that we are special. In point of fact, it takes raping the Congo of all their minerals. The Congo is the poorest country on the face of the earth, which is impossible. Which is impossible.
In a righteous society.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Congo has so many resources at its advantage that if they fought a civil war, they should be able to run each other in their Rolls Royces. However, it's the poorest country in the world. This thing takes the raping of the Congo. It takes Chinese laborers to make these things at a price so low that they are committing suicide from the substandard wages that they are not getting. They are not even getting the substandard wages that they are used to getting in their substandard life. It takes getting rid of these things means that they have to isolate starving Chinese children to take this nuclear stuff apart and literally murder their own futures. There is so much death, destruction, and poverty in just the manufacturing of this stuff. It is mind-blowing. If people could actually get their heads around what is involved in making laptops and smartphones and cell phones, it would blow their minds. And all of this is propped up by corporations who operate in America who are determined to give you the lowest price. It is not the product that moves the market anymore. It is the organizations that carry the product. And the organizations like Walmart and Amazon dictate what the price will be. Therefore, in order for corporations to compete, they have to eliminate an American workforce, eliminate all fair trade practices, and enslave and subjugate women, children, people all over the world, countries all over the world, in order to make this profit up. So I don't think they give a rat's patootie what happens to Americans, because they are indeed global monarchs.
You know, you brought up a very, very important point, which is the externalization of profit. In other words, externalization of making that profit on other people. So you have to have poor people to be able to take advantage of, and they'll do anything they can to get some money because they don't have anything. Right. So poverty is also invented out of this whole system. Right. Matter of fact, this system cannot live without poverty, with people that's willing to do anything to make money. Right now, we're seeing Africa turn into savages. And what I mean by that, what they're doing to women, children, cutting off people's hands and so on and so forth, in order for them to do work that they don't want to do. And work on the tone a little bit. We hear you there. He's going to make this point, and as soon as he makes this point, I'm going to come right to you. Yeah, I was wondering what's going on. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. It's a little harsh. Keep talking. Let me see if we can hear you.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Oh, they control the volume back there, but I can hear you.
Are you Bob?
Am I who?
Who's calling?
No, next call. Hang, make your point.
They externalize thing on the state itself. So the state end up doing that. In other words, all the dirt, the filth, and the stuff that they dump in the waters and stuff like that in the ground and stuff like that, so on and so forth. Well, the person who's going to be doing that is the state, the city, or whatever province that they're in is going to be. So that's externalized. So they don't have to clean it up, right? And then when they do clean it up, they don't do a good job. They don't intend to. right? And so all of this stuff is externalized. And so when people say that the thing is cheap, no, you're paying for it on another end.
Right.
Now, the
Right.
ecosystem is being destroyed by this greed.
Right.
Right? But what people don't understand is the control of gasoline, which is oil, or the nuclear plants and stuff like that, all that. Well, they don't understand why they want to do this.
Right.
Why they want to do this is one that they can do that, they can control other countries around the world based upon oil.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so they can make no threat. They can stop the oil from coming from them or burn it up or kill it, whatever they want to do, and all do it. So it is also to maintain power. At the same time that they're doing that, they got names for this. They call them psychopaths and sociopaths. And what you call that is a patriarchal system that we live in, that where men and women are at war with each other. Now, if you are at war with your woman, what do you think that they think about us
Right.
when it comes down to doing what they want to do?
Right.
Now, I'm saying all this to say this. It's a mindset, it's a culture that we're looking at. We're not looking at individuals. We're looking at a whole culture, a way of thinking about stuff. They even got it in the Bible where they set up and say they have dominion over the earth. Not to live in harmony with it,
Right.
but to have dominion over it.
Right. Right. Right.
This is my duty, is
Right.
to have dominion on it and do what I want to do.
Right. Right.
And you see now what happened in the Philippines and all that other stuff, and you see what happened in New York City. All of these things are getting worse right before your eyes. But guess what? You can't really talk about that like that. Why? Because the very people who's behind this stuff is also just paying for the advertisement. So now what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and talk about it? You're going to have a real conversation about that?
They own the cameras. They own the stations. They own every single aspect of the game. They own
Control
the people. Right.
They buy
Right.
presidents. They buy
Correct. Presidents
senators.
Ain't nothing.
Right?
Politicians ain't nothing.
But they even
Politicians
buy,
are so far down the.
they buy activists.
Right.
They buy everybody.
Right.
And why is that? Because this is not a moral society we live in.
Right.
As much as they preach Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they are not moral.
Right.
The things that they do shows you that they're not. It's not moral what they're doing.
I think they think that you're a little dense to even believe that stuff they pumping. You know, sometimes it's like you know, somebody asks you why you late and you tell them some stuff. Well, the train broke down, they had to shoot it, and you start making stuff up, and they believe in you, and there's a part of you that's going, you believe this stuff? Wow. You know, and you keep pumping them. You know,
I know sometimes they walk away. They believe that.
Right.
They ate it up.
It's amazing.
Yeah, say, wow. Well, what you gonna do? Give them more.
Right. It really is amazing. It
That's
really
what they
is
do.
amazing.
Yes.
When you were talking about African and civil wars and whatnot, they talk. I've heard a lot of people speak to a gap between Africans in the diaspora, especially African Americans, or we the people of the Middle Passage, and those people who were born and raised on the continent. You know. But in a lot of ways, I think Africans born on the continent are a lot more programmed than we are. That in a lot of ways, we as enslaved people, you know, or people under the system that they refer to as slavery, there's a lot more defiance within that community than there is in a lot of Africa, where you are dealing with absolute colonization. And colonization literally means that it is incumbent upon nations of people to bow to another god, to another kingdom. And you see that a lot in places like the Sudan. You know, I mean, the Hutus and the Tutsis are basically as black as you can get. However, The Tutsis you can recognize because their features are a little more European and their status is a little more European. So even when there is no white people around, they have measuring sticks, yardsticks that they go by to measure proximity to white supremacy. Same thing in places like Haiti, you know. As we were talking before, blonde hair trumps brown hair trumps black hair, even within the confines of white or European society. There is like pecking orders that we subscribe to, even in places that basically have no white folks, you know.
Well, I would look at it this way. Europeans have been very good at brainwashing other people and making people want to be like them. And so wherever they go, you find people who are corrupt, including here, right? Like, for example, we live in Harlem. Can you name me one street that has nothing but African merchants on it?
No.
Huh?
No.
That's the same thing over there. The same thing everywhere you go.
Wow,
Same thing everywhere.
wow,
So it's the same,
that's amazing.
And but nobody think about it that way.
Right, you
right?
don't think about it.
You don't think of that
you
way,
don't
right?
think about it.
As a matter of fact, African people here, there, and there will sit up and argue with you. This is my money. I spend my money when I want to.
Right.
But
right,
Koreans don't
right,
think like
right,
that.
Right. Right.
Huh?
Right.
Arabs don't think like that.
And if you're watching a movie, and the movie has nothing but Asians, you notice that there's nothing but Asians in the movie. If the movie has nothing but black people, you notice that there's nothing but black people. But if the movie has nothing but white people, you don't even really notice that there's nothing but white people in there. It seems
So
normal.
And the images that they get, the brother that was talking about before, that's what we was talking about before. It's the images
Right,
that they give
right.
in the movies and everything that you
Right,
see,
right.
no matter what it is. Now, I'm saying this to say this, is that, yeah, they've been very good at brainwashing people and making people think that they're not brainwashed.
Right.
Actually make them think that they're thinking.
Right.
And they
right,
actually
right,
spit
right,
out
right.
the
It's
things.
just normal, right?
Yeah, the things that's already been embedded in your head,
Right.
and you think that's your thought.
Right.
So they're using your mind to move your lips.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. And when people like us talk and have this kind of conversation, like people walk up to me and say, man, you afraid that they're going to kill you? I say, that's what they do.
Right, right. Right.
You know, that's what they do.
Right.
But which
Not being afraid will keep them from killing you if they want you dead.
How would you like to go out? With a
Right,
disease?
right.
Or would you rather go out with, you know, struggling for your
Right,
people?
right.
Or telling the truth?
Right.
As you know it.
Right.
Now, in our lifetime, we done seen some remarkable things that done happened to capitalist system and seeing how scared the capitalist system is of people
Right.
around the world.
Right.
Not just here.
Right.
And we're also seeing how the capitalist system is affecting all the people around the world, including Europe. Because they brought kids, and they're not cooperating. You got several countries over there that's doing real bad.
Real bad.
Right?
Real
now,
bad.
And it's
Real
austerity.
bad.
Now here's another thing, right? If you used to ask people, they always talking austerity, austerity, austerity. Can you show me one, just one? You know how in the school say, like, if you're doing something, you got to do more than one, a citation and stuff like that.
Right.
Now just give me one country that went into that come out of it like that. It doesn't.
No,
As a matter of fact,
no,
all the countries they done asked to do that is getting worse.
No,
Not
nobody
better.
gives money back.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
you know, I ain't gonna give you nothing, but then I'm gonna give you something. No, once I get used to giving you nothing, you ain't gonna get nothing.
And taking away and getting rid of jobs does not help.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And they know that. So this austerity thing does not work.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Now,
It's such a pretty
everybody
word
should
for
know.
Such a cold-blooded act.
Yeah.
Austere.
Everybody should know that the Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit. It should not even be in that conversation.
Right.
right? What should be in the conversation is how much money they're making off medicine and all that kind of stuff, that we need to go to a single medical thing in order to save that, where anybody can go to any hospital and any doctor that they want to without paying all those kinds of things, and get rid of those people who is literally making money off a dead body. And then when they find out that you're sick, they say, well, you know, we got a clause here to say that we don't have to do this, which you know more, right? Or deny you medicines and so on and so forth. Now, what kind of country is that actually people would deny you things and rather see you die rather than to pay the food?
Right.
You know, so we don't think about that. And the thing about it is the
or
country.
that you would eat. I can even appreciate where they're coming from, maintaining this whole. But we have become so programmed to their system that all they have to do is give you a catchphrase or a buzzword like socialism, and you actually clamor and fight for your own demise to keep from becoming this word that you know nothing about.
Don't know nothing about communism or
Don't know
socialism.
nothing about
Or
any
better
of it.
yet, they don't even know nothing about capitalism.
Right.
They don't even know nothing about that.
Right.
They don't know who the stars and
Correct.
that wrote these books and stuff like that they're falling behind.
That is correct.
Huh?
That is correct.
They don't know what they're saying about
that. That is correct.
Now, and you know, so a thief never wants to be called a thief.
Right.
They want to be called a good guy. Right. When they're stealing money out of your pocket.
Right.
And they're stealing money out of the government's pocket. They're stealing money out of everybody's pocket. And they say, you know what we done? We done recoded it and made us look like we're good people.
Oh, words is the bomb. Yeah. We only got like about a minute left and whatnot. As I said, we're gonna bring in Brother Sekou Fortune. We're gonna make available a media by which he can teach him things, and I really hope that at some point, you know, you get into not just the transatlantic slave trade, but the sub-Saharan slave trade.
All that.
You know, because there's a lot of things that we don't even think about or know enough to ask questions about. So we're going to bring you in and just let you teach and educate, because that's literally what you do. I got like 30 seconds. Give us a book that we should pay close attention to.
Civilization of Barbarism, and this book, The Anunnaki, The Temple of the Anunnaki, that takes you back 180,000, 200,000 years ago, where Africans was charting the skies, knew how to do geometry and all that kind of stuff. And it's another book called Nat the Plier.
Excellent. So say that again.
The place is Nat the Plier, but the book is I forgot. That's it.
All right. We'll see you next week. I want to thank you so much for joining us, and we got some things planned in the coming weeks and months that we hope will do you good and do us good for hanging out with you, and thank you for letting us hang out with you. Peace. We'll see you next week.
Hotel.
You know what the thing is.